How you guys doing out there? Y'all know who it be. That's right. It's me, Ladosha, aka. Check this out, y'all. Y'all ready? The King Woman. That's right. It's coming out, and I think this weekend actually it's going down. Miss Viola Davis is going to be representing the fearless warriors of the Dahomey tribe coming out of Africa, and this one is going to be very, very controversial because a lot of people aren't aware that Africa had plenty of women who were also kings. Okay, do you have any favorite of African women kings or that you can think of, Cheryl, as we get this party started quickly because we got a great topic today. So I can only think of one that I know of, Queen Hatshepsut. Yeah, yeah. So she's the woman who wore the beard, and she put the crown on her head. During one of those dynasties. I don't have all that down to a science, but her history, dude. She was not playing. Those women back in the day, I'm saying like it was last year, like 20 years ago. But in antiquity, those women were just they were fearless. I mean, they really did some things. So, what do you think about Viola Davis's new movie that's coming out, Woman King?
Yeah, I think it's great.
You think it's great? I think it's going to be
it's
good.
great.
The Dahomey tribe is going to be interesting. I don't know if you're aware, but Zora Neale Hurston has a book
Yes.
out, and it's called, I think it's Barracoon. I just listened to the audio book,
Uh huh.
and in that book, she actually talks about um, she gets the last narrative of the last known living slave, and his name was Cudjo. And Cudjo tells the story of the Dahomey tribe, massacring people and cutting off heads and that selling slaves into the slave trade. So I think this movie is going to be it's going to bring up a lot of stuff about the slave trade. What do you think?
Well, it's fascinating to me when people say, well, Africans were selling slaves. Okay, so what did they get in return?
Oh, I was.
Like,
They got some guns, Cheryl. They got
just,
some guns and some
just
metal.
stop. Just stop saying anything.
They got to
Just
say
say
something.
anything. Like, okay, so did they get gold coins? Like what did they get in return? Like they just got introduced to this new commerce, and then all of a sudden, if things don't make sense, just stop saying them.
I, my whole thing about that is, you know, when I went over to West Africa, right, and it was in the Gambia, and we went over to the island of Janjanbureh. And so when you hear the Africans tell the story, their narrative on the slave trade, it gets very interesting because it's not so much that they're totally denying that they participated in any of it, but what they did talk about was all of the trickery, and it wasn't like, what they're painting it out to be. How they would, get them drunk and, just all types of just, bad things that they were doing, coming in there, pretending like they were, going to do one thing, doing another. But the narrative that we get here is that they just went over like, hey, we've been, selling humans all this time. Y'all want in on this? And the Africans were like, well, yeah, we got some people here we've been holding prisoners, and we gonna sell some too. But that's not quite how it went down. So I'm interested to see
And
what.
then, yeah,
Yeah.
and let me just say this: the European slave trade is not the first time we had a problem with that. It's always been infiltration and trying to have control over Africa, and just with Arabs. Arabs are not your friend,
Mm,
never been.
mm,
And so that was our first introduction to barbaric and barbarians. That
Hmm.
was not, Europeans, the Dutch or the Portuguese or the Brits, you know, and at the end of the day, we've always had that issue. Germany,
Yeah.
Belgium, and all of that. And so, you know, it just, like you said, it just depends on who's going to be lazy at the moment and tell the story in some kind of bullshit way. And
Yeah.
there's
I
always
think
a
it's
black audience for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. But I want to go and check this movie out. I think it's going to be very good. We got some people in the chat. We have some actual cosmetologists. What's up, Cassandra? We have the owner of Raw Solutions in the chat. I see you, beautiful. Terry, I was hoping you was going to jump on because this time, as a matter of fact, I'm going to say that this actual podcast is dedicated to you because she calls me all the time about scalp concerns. So Terry, this one's for you from Cheryl and I. So stay tuned. We're gonna have a wonderful, wonderful discussion, and it's going down, and it's all about scalp care. Now we're also waiting for the chat so people to come through, and we're talking about Woman King that's going to be starting this weekend. I think Viola Davis actually produced this with some other people. So I'm wondering, is this birthed out of the women who play, were warriors in the Black Panther Wakanda? What do you think that has something to do with her inspiration?
I don't know, but I
Okay.
would, but I do have a favorite, and it is Queen of Sheba.
Oh,
I'm
Queen
gonna
of.
tell you why.
Okay, all right. Everybody, get your notepens out. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why? Why do you? Because y'all know for sure when I talk, it's ghetto. You see, I got this little plastic crown on, trying to, talk about the homemade tribe and shit. Okay, come on, sure, because you smarter than me. Y'all know how it's going.
Oh yeah.
Okay, why Queen Sheba?
Well, Queen of Sheba. First of all, speaking of the British Queen that just transitioned and went wherever white people go. Um, but I will say that the Queen of Sheba line is this planet's real, true royal line. Even the Bible mentions Queen of Sheba.
Okay.
And because of being of Ethiopian descent, she had the biggest empire of them all. And one of the things that she strategically manipulated um, Mark Antony and Augustus, Caesar and Caesar. She had the three most powerful white men in the world, and she understood that she needed to gather them up, become allies, and make sure that she can contain them. So she did a very good PR job, and to the point where she had white men writing about her. And in that scripture, she says to Israel, I am black and beautiful. And she said a whole bunch of other stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the only queen that is. And two, we should not be surprised, people, that Africa had great queens and great high priestess, great shamans that were women, because Africa never had a policy that it dealt with gender until the last probably 500 years.
Okay.
That's a They really didn't have that going on. Um, Not that say it was peaceful. I didn't say that. What I'm
Right.
saying is that white women had to endure white patriarchy, talking about gender issues. It's not really a matrilineal thing. Africa is a matrilineal continent, so we
Yeah.
enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
trying to put a Black American spin on what was going on in Africa is kind of, we're seeing it through racism, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I implore. We got a chat full of ladies. Okay, we have. I see you, Jalene. We actually have Gambia represent. What's up, Mama Africa in the house again? I see you, Terry. This podcast is dedicated to you, Cassandra, Christina. I love you, darling. Welcome, 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 McCombs girl. We got YouTube as always in the house representing baby, and Canada. We are always loving with Judy, because Judy, you're my sweetheart. So welcome, guys. You are in for a royal treat. Believe it or not, as we talk about scalp care, because scalp care is the foundation of beautiful hair for all people, men, women, and children. But we're just paying a little homage to African queens before we get started. And so, you guys, if you missed some of the names, go back through. We talked about Queen Hatshepsut. And so she ruled during in antiquity with the pharaohs, and she actually wore the beard and the crown and everything. You read her, oh my goodness, words can't describe. She talked about Queen Sheba, and then we're also talking about Viola Davis, who's going to be representing the fearless warriors of the Dahomey tribe, and her depiction of them and what they accomplished and their struggles. So that's going to start this weekend, and so we all should go out and support Viola Davis. And if you can, put your crown on and go head on up in there, or get your spear and be a warrior, because that one is most certainly not about her, just being cute with all this plastic paper on the head. All right. So let's get on into the topic. Are you guys ready? We are going to be talking about scalp care. So what I would like to do is to put this context of this conversation in like 3 frames, and this way we're going to be able to get through it. So when we think of scalp care, scalp issues, we think of dandruff, eczema, psoriasis, seborrheic dermatitis. Some of these terms, maybe you guys have been diagnosed with some of these scalp conditions. So today we're gonna put these in three frames that may contribute to some of these scalp conditions, and then Cheryl's gonna clean up all my ghetto fabulosity, because y'all know I'm about to bring the stank about the dandruff. Okay, so these gonna be my 3 contexts. So number 1, we have these hairstylists who tell people, don't you got to come in with your hair washed, and then I'll do your hair. So I think that we would miss some things if we do that. Okay, that's number 1. When because we gotta figure out what's going on. Number 2, your responsibility at home to caring for your hair. Can you prevent? Cheryl's gonna go over all this stuff. And then number 3, those white coats. I'm a little concerned about cosmetologists putting on those white coats and being a little bit, misleading. So that's where I'm going to be coming from. So I'm going to get real messy, with those 3, under those 3 contexts. But scalp care is truly the foundation of beautiful hair. What's up, Rashida? I see you in the chat. I'm going to talk about what's happening in Atlanta this weekend before we end. So they said, come on with the key. I'm coming with the key, Lolo. I'm coming through. So the first thing I want to say, and sure you just want to get this, started about dandruff. So here are some common things that we hear about dandruff in the hair salon. Drum roll, please. Brrr. Okay, so number 1, we have heard that dandruff is contagious. We do hear that a lot, where people like, don't share your comb. I told my daughter don't share the combs because dandruff are contagious. I'm like, okay. Number 2, you guys may not recall, but last week we talked about growing dandruff. When I was a kid, and I still hear it, I did go on YouTube and search it. There is a belief that growing dandruff is very real. And then last but not least, Cheryl, men get dandruff more than women. So let's kind of start off with with those 3 things by you telling us exactly what is dandruff.
Okay. I'm going to answer. Do we have some hairstylists on the call?
Yeah, we got some hairstylists in there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see them in the chat.
I'm going to presume and assume that all of you guys have had to diagnose at some point in time of a client in your chair. Okay, and one of the things and I'm going to shoot out a couple of things, and I want them to for either to write them down or for you to even and Ladosha can chime in. But let's go here. First of all, dandruff is like the umbrella, but as a cosmetologist, trichologist, barber stylist, or whatever you guys call yourself, okay, inside of your beauty discipline, you have to decide if it's wet or if it's dry. Okay, you have to, if it's dry, is it small flakes or is it dust? Okay, once you decide if it's dry, it's wet or it's dry, and if it's dry, is it skin with the holes of where the hairs were? Is it large? If it's dry, if it's dusty, if it's because that is what we call dander. Dander. Okay. Dandruff is very misunderstood. So if it's wet, okay, it's usually discolored. Okay. If it's discolored, then we have to, unfortunately, we have to smell it. Does it have odor? Because if it's odor, it's usually a bacteria. Okay. If it's wet, it could be buildup. And if it's buildup and if it's a combination, it could be a adverse autoimmune response to something that you put on it. Most of the times, people who have heavy dander or prone to dandruff, or what we perceive as dandruff, because it could be just skin, but all scaly or anything that you perceive as scalp skin is not dandruff. Okay, it could be different. And if it is adverse effect or at an autoimmune response, irritation of some sort, then you have to get in terms of, then you got to get their medical profile. If they have asthma, most asthma medication will cause some kind of adverse effect on the scalp. Then we got to determine if it's sarcoidosis, if it's an autoimmune disorder or a condition. So there's many factors, but most average hair dandruff is not psoriasis, eczema, or any of those things. But it is just it's a dry flake. So determining if something is wet or dry, and make sure that you also don't misconfuse fungus. And most people who have very thick hair, usually lock wearers, they'll be more prone to fungus and not bacteria. But when it starts coming up, we'll just say it's dandruff and it's not. Is that clear?
Yeah, that's clear. That's a little heavy. That's a little heavy, because so here's the thing. Now I'm saying it's a little heavy because you touched on a lot of things. You said number one, if it's wet, if it has skin with the holes. Now I've seen all of this. Okay, if it has, when you lift the skin up and you can actually see the little tiny imprints of where the follicle were. Is it hard, dry? Is it dusty? Then you have buildup. Is there an odor accompanied, with this? And then you also mentioned a fungus. And then we talked about, if people, have more thicker, dense heads of hair, they're locking their hair. So we have a lot of complexities in what we see the scalp can produce. All right. So when I'm thinking of dandruff, number one, I think what I would like you, if you could clear up, is this a hygiene issue? Are these flakes? Are this dander, the hard, the dry, the odor? Is this a hygiene? Are these people who are not cleansing, properly, or cleansing improperly, too frequently, not frequently enough? And then Terry, I see your question in the chat. So what's the culprit to these symptoms that we see that you describe?
And let me say this. Your scalp is part of your face. And if you were to, and let me just give you an example, you guys can chime in and then I'll answer it from there. But there was a friend of mine, business colleague, who every time she'd gotten her hair shampooed or relaxed, because that's a whole nother, when you have cosmetic treatments, usually the scalp needs to recover from either low acid pHs and alkaline pHs, especially alkaline pHs. But after she got a shampoo, she come home and she could never get rid of this dandruff because all of a sudden she would flake. Now, I had to, and I couldn't explain it to her, so I went to her hair appointment with her and I asked her hairstylist, and I says, this is what I want you to do. And I says, I just happen to be, a hairstylist too, cosmetologist, but I want you to think about your service with Monica this time. And I says, you cannot ever move her scalp with your fingertips or your fingernails. Your fingertips or your fingernails.
Now you're starting trouble. Okay, go ahead.
Now, the reason why is because the scalp, the more you jiggle it, the more you vibrate it, the more you scratch it, the more you rub it, the wound healing in the scalp tells the immune system that I'm injured. Then the autoimmune response, because the autoimmune is enabled, it goes red. Then it gets inflamed. Then it wants to heal itself. And then week after week, the upper layer of the scalp cannot heal. So she will scratch it 2 weeks later again. And I asked her, I says, well, now you have her scalp on an autoimmune monster wheel. You're just going to have to take a month off and you cannot scrub it. So we went on tour because she went on tour with me. And my first stop was Maui. And I took an hour and a half and I quietly, softly lifted up each scale without trying to alarm her immune system. And after I did that, I got as much cold ice or something cold as much as I can to take away the inflammation. Then to shampoo it, I left it on there for about 5-10 minutes because I could not wake up the wound healing process when we start going in like that. Or we start digging, because the scalp is part of the face and you wouldn't do your nose like that. You would have a red scratch. You wouldn't do your eye like that. And so we don't understand that the scalp is part of the immune system, and you're going to counteract the wound healing process, which is redness, isolation, inflammation, isolation. And that's what we're going to get. And then the new layer of skin, which we think is dandruff. So you have to remember, dandruff grows up. Dandruff don't come out of the sky. It don't come down.
Right.
It must be there, and it wasn't there before. So we have to understand that this is a part of a generation of occurrences, not just an isolated incident.
All right. Okay. All right. So 2 things. So one, Terry says, when you say wet, do you mean the hair comes up wet and dry? So are you saying that the dandruff, the flakes, the scales on the scalp, are you saying that those are actually wet? or are you meaning that the scalp is moist?
Okay, let's just say this. How can, if you have sebaceous material, genetic material, oil, how does flakes get dry all of a sudden?
Through air. The air would hit the scalp, and then it would turn
Right.
into right.
But some of the dandruff has oil in it. It's
Oh,
soft.
that that
It's
part.
There's a difference between wet and because the wet don't if you needed to scratch it, it'd be on your jacket. But only dry dandruff is on your jacket.
Right.
Some
Right.
dandruff doesn't fall. So you as a cosmetologist have to be supreme in your diagnosis skills to be able to understand that it could be an adverse effect, it could be product, it could be an allergic reaction. It's just not the fact that, oh, it's cold outside. I've been having me a scarf.
It's through the weather. It's through the weather, y'all. So here's the thing. Now I got my comb here, right? And I also have my little this here. I did in my little video. I have my little scalp scrubber. Cause now I will say this. Somebody said, "Come on, Kilolo. Here you go, McCombs girl. Here come Kilolo." So here's what I gotta say to you, Cheryl. Okay, this Kilolo. First of all, I'm used to using my comb, and I take my comb and I put it on my scalp, and I like to lift it up. Sit on the porch, back in the day, and we lifted these dandruff up, and we did all this, and this really helped. That's number one. Then number two, this thing right here is supposed to be a scalp massager, and when you massage the scalp, you're gonna lift up the flakes. So me as a cosmetologist, I get paid, from lifting up. And then my customers really, really like, the scrubbing. So you messing up the church's money and you messing up culture when you're saying we can't rub the scalp, so, and I know y'all in the chat like, yeah, what's we supposed to do? So how are we to, we've been taught to do this. You do understand this. That the scrubbing and the exfoliate is the fancy word.
Let me just say this, ladies and gents, my dear cosmetologists, we are not talking about a healthy scalp. We are talking about a scalp in distress. We are talking about scalps in trouble. We are talking about scalps that have odor, scalps that are right before your eyes having a skin-filled, kind of dander-filled, flaky. Those things are not normal. So you can't go in there moving that scalp when you already know that the scalp's going to react. Now, here we go. What do they tell you to do to not do to a surface of skin that is in duress?
You ain't supposed to pick on it.
You ain't supposed to pick it. You're not supposed to scratch it. You're not supposed to move it. And you cannot give it extra what? Circulation.
But we black, Cheryl. We black, and this is what we've been doing. This is our cultural practice. We like scrubbing.
Why?
But it's supposed to feel so good. And then I saw it on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. The lady, she got the comb and she scrubbing and she lifted all of that. So now we're influenced. That looks more like that. This is our culture. That we are supposed to take the comb and sit at, put the guy between your legs or your grandma's, and you're supposed to dig this up. And so Sophia said, somebody in the chat just said, oh, that was you, McCombs girl, that she uses this too. These sell pretty good. Now I'm not a fan of these. I saw some research, some real certified bona fide research, peer reviewed research, that these were the cardinal sin of scalp care.
Well, first of all, that's that cone shaped teeth, number one, is a patent of my dad's, by the way.
This one, oh,
the cone shaped teeth, cone, which comes from an African brush. That's what African brushes look like. They have the cone shaped teeth. China has taken it to a whole another level, but that's another story.
That y'all see that? Wait a minute, before you say that, somebody in the chat just said history. Sophia, the first, said history is always subject to the narrator. So okay, so correction on that. Go ahead.
Now, when you have acne, what do they say don't do to your skin?
Oh,
When you
don't. Yeah, you're not supposed to pop those.
well, you're not supposed to really massage these particular areas, because if they are already in a hyper state, okay, to move the scalp skin, because and let me just say this: when I have a black person come, and I know they have locks, and I know if they have the fungus behind their ears, in the crevices of their eyes, crevices of their nose, because they took it, they do this and they go here and then they have it. One of the things that I don't want to do, I'll take it gently, okay, because I get more money behind the chair when I do scalp services that promote getting them out of their scalp duress, okay, and their scalp stress, than I do going in there, because I don't like to work, okay. Work killed my grandfather and grandmother and grandpeople and my ancestors, so I don't like to do it. So in other words, if I can have the product and I can create my product and in command of my ingredients, I know which will dissolve those particular substances and things from happening on the scalp, because I know it's not a normal scalp, but it was once normal. And what was the problem? What happened? That's more of a cosmetologist and a trichologist's job. What happened? Okay. And so, if you understand that, then you won't have to go in there with all that physical, because that's a lot of work trying to scrape something off someone's scalp.
And let me just say this too. The customers, I'm okay, this Key Lolo. I will say this Key Lolo style. A Key Lolo hairstylist style, okay? Customers be coming into the hair salon and the hair is just laden. I'm talking about it's in their eyebrows. It's in their eyelashes. You're right. It's behind their ears. You can even see I don't know what I call it, a film, or some type of, what is it called?
It's mildew.
Oh, you better stop it, Shaniqua. So
wipe it, and then there's a white, then there's lighter underneath there.
Oh my, that's mildew. See what I'm saying? And see, they think this stuff is normal. And so when I try, y'all, I try real hard to not bring kilo. There's it's a review on me on Yelp where the person was like that I was too terse. It's no nice way to tell a person you're just nasty. I mean, this can't be the norm. The scaly people really think that this is the norm for black people, black hair, scalp. They don't even really want to talk about it because you get this response like.
And the bad part about it is that after you keep going in on these real vigorous jobs and you are moving this skin, they put oil on it, and oil is thermogenic. It brings heat and it's hot. You put oil, tea tree, and you are burning the skin. And then the next day, now let me ask you guys a question just to prove my point. Let's say you get a service, okay? And you go in there and you do a brother's locks and you twist it, and that skin is puffy because it's inflamed, because you really should not put that waxy and alcohol when you twist in those locks, right? Or you guys give a relaxer, or you give a color job, or you guys are, doing these vigorous shampoos, right? When a person says, I got some new growth, how long has it been between that hair growing and not growing? Between the first day. Let's say you,
I
let's say
go.
you gave the lock. Let's say, how long does it take for a person to do when they come back from doing their locks, and you went in there and shampooing real tough, and you screwed that, you locked and twisted, and you got all that wax and all that oil, right? And
Right.
they leave out, right? Okay. Or you got a chemical service or a color or a relaxer, whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how long does it take between then they come back and you see a half an inch of new growth?
I would say 3 to 4 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks. Okay. Now, how long does a black man and a black woman, when they go to the barber, when a black man gets a shave, a black man gets a corvatis, and a black woman goes and get her hair cut, how long does before she starts and he starts to see hair on his face and on his head?
5 o'clock after five shadow, it starts to come up before you can see the bubble. Is that
Okay. Well, if a black man or woman went to the barber shop and a haircut lasted 4 weeks, I guarantee they go into the hospital.
okay? Go ahead, y'all. Put the thumbs down on this video. Sure, she just so I mean, you guys. What's
So
up,
that just
Devon?
goes.
I see you.
So that just goes to show you what we're doing in that chair is having an adverse effect, because if he doesn't see a shadow at 5 o'clock, he is going to the hospital. I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah. So
They
wrong.
don't. They don't expect. They expect to see hair within a day.
But you have women. You have women who actually get upset. People get upset. Like I will color the hair, right? And they will come back and they will say the color didn't, the color did not take. And I'm like, I'm sorry. What do you mean? Yeah. You see, did you see this white stuff here? I'm like, yes, ma'am. That's your hair growing. I do my best, guys, to circumvent this with a consultation. It just don't. It's not working. McCall's girl said YT University. Yeah, YT University. YT, stop, y'all. The hair grows every day, all day. It never stops. And I said,
Wait a
if
minute.
you,
This is classic.
if
Sis, this is classic. You gave me a good relaxer. It lasted long.
yeah, the last one, I'm like, it's not. I'm telling you guys, you have to understand naturally what's taking place on the scalp, and we have to go with the ebb and flow, and we have to fess up because we have scalp treatments that we do where we put the cream on the scalp, and then we use a cotton ball to vigorously, or massage, to bring the flakes, to kind of loosen them up, on the scalp. Go ahead.
Do you guys do this to keep them from falling, or is it just because you guys know it's there, you just can't help yourself?
Well, according to the company, which I won't say any names, I know. Yeah, okay, we're going to get to that, Miss Foster. So according to the company, the mouth of the follicle is dislodged with debris. Sorry, guys. It's dislodged with debris. You're going to put the product onto the scalp. And when you put the scope on there, you can see that the oils do break down the buildup and the stuff that's on the scalp. But I think the purpose of the cotton ball is it's like a facial, like it's gonna feel good. It's about an experience. So the product is going to dissolve what's on the scalp, and then you're going to use the cotton ball to kind of give you that facial-esque feel that you would get on your face when you get a scalp massage. Though I am not a fan of picking scalp. People will ask me all the time, can I pick the scalp and that kind of stuff. It's very dangerous because this stuff we have to breathe this stuff in. And so to me, I think that's very dangerous. But,
well, cosmetologists must be taught wound healing. They must be taught about the immune system because the scalp is part of the face. The neck is part of the body. The skin is an organ. It has nerve endings. Has an odor. It has a smell. It has a color. It has so it reacts. It's an environment. It has its own ecosystem. It just doesn't. It's not there for your cosmetic appeasement.
Did you hear that?
Are you scratching to keep it from falling later, or what are you trying? Or what is your fixation?
The fixation. Now, some people just like to see those flakes just come up. They want to go through the scalp and see it lift. And then, per Miss Foster's question, people believe that this stimulation here is going to help the hair grow. So that leads into the question. So number one, I believe, and this is just based off of my experience here, behind the salon, behind the chair at the salon, is that this is definitely a cultural practice. I don't know any other culture of people who do this except for African Americans. And of course, we know that this is stemming from us not having access to the right products, the right tools, and the right technique, which is what I definitely promote. But Miss Foster would like to know, Miss Foster would like to know, so is hair supposed to be growing longer than half an inch per month? Because, and I'm going to get to that next, but let's just answer her question. How fast or how much regrowth does hair grow a month?
I don't think that that's a comparable question as a rule of thumb. Because one of the things that if your skin is part of your immune system and it reacts and doesn't react to impulses in your nervous system, your endocrine system, your endocannabinoid system, your hormones and how you're processing cortisol and insulin, it is also very important to how slow or fast, hyper or hypo something is. And so I don't like to give rule of thumbs.
Okay.
According to me, if I have a body, I have a balanced body in homeostasis, Miss Foster, then my hair growth rate, I guarantee, would be different than yours if your body is under medication or an issue, or it is not in its optimal health called homeostasis. I'm not saying you are and aren't, but what I am saying is there is no, and let me just say this, there's no way to dictate that for Black people, because Black people is growing in a screw. You are determining it by length, and you can't do that.
No, but we want hair down the hair. We want what it called BLH, booty length hair. Come on, my YouTube people. I see y'all in the chat. Come on, Facebook. Come on, LinkedIn. LinkedIn be so conservative. But listen up. Booty length hair is what they're going after. They got videos on booty length hair. So they want to know. So how do we get out of this, Cheryl? Because we want that. Ugh.
Well, I will say this. Here we go again. In talking about the African perspective or Afro-cosmetology. It is not anything for Black people to take a nice hot comb, natural heat, and to be able to flatten out their coils and to be able to wear downward length hairstyles. At the end of the day, once the hair wants to relax back, it is going to go back into its froish nature. Relax back into its froish nature, because to relax back is to go toward the sun. Okay? Now, when white people relax, their hair goes toward the floor. Okay? It goes away from the sun. So my whole point is that it's nothing comparable when we are trying to get these one answers. And believe me, Afro-cosmetology makes you an expert of your field, regardless if it's trichology, chemistry, biology, or hair coloring, or whatever. The issue is in the question. Is that if we can generate better questions, then we won't ask blunt questions like what is the main rate, because white people have never studied you long enough, never been cared about studying you. So when they say, oh, a half an inch a month, they not talking about you.
Oh, shucky ducky quack quack.
Now, I can prove that they're not talking about you, because if there is already a follicle in a hole, it can't be clogged.
You don't
Can
think
it?
so? Well, I mean,
Okay.
can't
But
product
if
get
it's
built?
but I know, but if it's growing from the root,
Oh yeah,
then how can it get clogged?
yeah, yeah.
It's a shoot. It's a sprout. The roots are at the pillars on
Underneath,
the
yeah,
bottom.
yeah.
So here we go again. They're just trying to sell you a product. They're not trying to sell you expertise so you can be a sovereign in how you dedicate your product servicings and your roster and your choices of product uses inside of your salon treatment. They're not trying to give you that kind of sovereignty. What they're doing is just coming up with a method. If there is something already in a hole, it can't be clogged.
Right.
Now,
Well,
I don't understand clogged pores when it comes to hair clogged follicles. I do not know what they are talking about.
oh, I'm gonna have to go change my whole salon menu, Miss Foster. But it's okay. But this is what education is all about. But what about all of the people who have the protective styles? What about the weaves and the wigs and the bright people? Swear, I mean, I for the life of me, I don't understand how people believe the protective hairstyle. I mean, when you talk about snake oil, charlatan, I'm never going to understand the protective style for the life of me. Is there anybody in the chat? I mean, come on, guys,
And
help
believe
us
me,
out.
product builder, I can understand removing it. I can understand that. But just because you have product builder doesn't mean you have an unhealthy scalp.
Right.
So you can remove it kind of aggressively. But you have to make sure, as an expertise, and as a cosmetologist or a stylist, depends on what you're getting ready to do with that. Because at the end of the day, people who do double chemical services, why do you say you got to wait to do a color after a relaxer? Why do they say that?
Scalp recovery.
Because the scalp is what? In distress.
This is true, guys.
Okay. So, and believe me, they're not thinking of no scalp. They're thinking about that client complaining about scalp sensitivity because the scalp just went through a service. It's about feelings. So what they're saying is, I got to give that scalp some recovery time before I go put on another alkaline-based chemical service and raise the pH again. So we're going to let the pH come down. That's why most people don't do double services, or they don't when they do alpha hydroxy chemical peel.
Right.
They don't go in there right after the chemical peel and start putting on stuff. No, they have to let the scabs and the skin graft and the skin heal. And after it all comes, about 3 weeks later, they peel the skin off. They let the scalp heal completely. What color is a scab before it oxidizes? What color is it, people?
A scab before it's like a no, it's brown. It's pink. It's a little pinkish.
No, it's yellow.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yellow, yeah, yellow.
It has the proteins and it has all the fats and it has right. But once it oxidizes and gets to the air, what color does it turn?
Brown.
Exactly.
Oh, did y'all get that? Did you guys get that?
Some dandruff is brown, especially when the scaly skins. It's translucent, but some of it stays clear, some of it stays brown.
Right.
Okay.
So what do you think about, people? leaving the weaves in for extended, because you talked about the scalp having its own bio. It's different, because this is what I say. All right, this is what I say professionally. Excuse me. And sometimes I have to go there and key Lolo, because people will try to justify, wearing the weaves and not washing the hair, for 2 to 3 months. And what I say to them is that the scalp is self-cleansing. It's like your mouth, your nose, your eyes, your ears, your vagina. And so you have to get this stuff off using the right cleansing agent. So if you haven't brushed your teeth, and not, you gotta use toothpaste, your ears, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta cleanse it properly. And the concept of cold washing and not washing, to me, this is what I say, to be honest, that's kind of like putting underwear on and saying, you're gonna take a shower. You guys got to understand, you're not really protecting the hair. You're not really, being more gentle, because I think that's what they're thinking, is that if you don't comb it, you don't manipulate it, that you're protecting it. But when you, or when you cold wash it, you don't use the soap or whatever, that you're being more gentle. And so these things are going to make hair care, make your hair healthier, but the scalp gets overlooked in the process. So how do we address the practice of leaving your weaves, your installs in for 6 to 14 weeks? You're talking about, they are promoting this 6 months. People are believing this.
Well, that's because they misunderstand the removing of foreign matter. Okay. Also, you have to remember, most African American women who do wear weaves also have hair of other people attached to their hair. Okay, which could also attract certain different types of elements and pathogens. But what I will say is that a healthy hair, we are only caring about healthy hair. We don't say protective stylings that protect the scalp. We don't really care about the scalp, because we can just get rid of the stuff on the scalp. But as long as I have some hair, I can really have a shitty scalp. It doesn't really make a difference. But here we go again. It is a priorities of Black women who are just not connected to their beauty process. And let me just say this. When the universe gave you dominant, real human hair, it meant for you to fashion it every day. It's a gift and a blessing. It is not for you to put away and protect and to not see it for 6 to 8 months and to put it away so you can live a convenient life. That is not an integration of a beauty process, and it's very unauthentic, and it's not Afrocentric. That is, in my book, I'll just say it, to me, that's a divorcing yourself of the privileges of the beautifying process, which is very alchemical. It's very healthy and very spiritual. It's very physical, and it's important. But if you're worried about culture, your culture is for you to take time and to do not only just braided, but dominant curl types. You can do everything with it. You can wear it recessive. You can wear it in the middle. You can wear it wavy. You can wear it curly. You can braid it. You can twist. You can do. But if you're so divorced, why would you just want to keep it away from 6 months? Just cut the shit off.
Because isn't that being arrogant? I mean, I when I hear the women, because people ask me about my hair all the time. I mean, I'm telling you, it is just amazing what people ask me, how my hair can consume a party or, whatever. When I was in Africa, I even covered it up. Sometimes I'll do that. I put a hat on my head because people are just in awe, not so much of like it's the color that's drawing their attention, but more so like the the quality or the health of the hair, and am I doing this with no maintenance? That's to me the biggest thing that women and men are looking for when it comes to hair. They are looking for a hairstyle that has zero maintenance, and when they're ready to show it, then they want the hair to be long
Right. But
and
let's be
flowing.
clear. Maintenance is cleaning. Maintenance ain't beautifying. Maintenance ain't adoring. Maintenance is not adornment. Maintenance is cleaning. It's doing hygiene. Your African ancestors, your hair is part of your wardrobe, your self-expression. I don't understand how that get into I don't want to do nothing to it. I
I don't
white
either.
white women have to do their hair every day. And you want to know why they the masters of the universe. They're the masters of the universe because their self-worth says it. It tells them you could never get there because you're so busy putting away so many parts of yourself so you don't have to be bothered. At the end of the day, I tell all my nieces, it is 6 o'clock. Get in there and get your life prepared. It don't mean homework. It don't mean get your life together. Start preparing it. That means get in the tub. Get in there and you have an hour to do your hair. Get in there. I don't care if you're on the phone. I don't care what you're doing. Prepare your look for tomorrow. It is your responsibility because you don't never know who you're going to meet. As my aunt would always say, you don't never know when you're going to meet Sidney Poitier. I may go outside and he may walk by. Just be prepared. But it's those old kind of practices that if you don't do anything for your beauty process on a daily basis, I don't know how you stay connected to culture. I don't know how that's done.
Yeah, I believe that the belief of manipulating the hair is what's causing black women to not have the length. When you watch videos, when people come in, we have braiders here. They're licensed cosmetologists, but they specialize in braiding. And I get called. I'm sitting in the office here in the salon, and so we're in the office a lot, talking, me coaching the girls, talking to their customers about their expectations. And so the expectations are really 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 high, but the escapism is very 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 real.
Yeah.
And that's what I call it. We are, a lot of women and men are suffering from a classic case of escapism because they don't. You have men, they have the braids, and I'm teaching them, how to take the braids, and I don't want to take it down. I don't want to touch it. I don't. So the men are right up there with the women. They want the locks, they want the twist, they want the cornrow braids, but they do not want to touch the hair. And then like she pointed out, guys, when you think about what's being put on top of the hair to secure a hairstyle for a day or two, and you're talking about leaving this stuff in for 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 up to 14 weeks, you know what, you are most certainly moving in the danger zone. So it is our hope that you will understand that by the end of this podcast, what you think are dandruff, by now I hope you're definitely concluding what you might be looking at is more product buildup, that you're removing yourself away. Like she said, you've divorced yourself from that maintenance process that you really can't escape, because the hair, the face, it requires maintenance. So is there a way with natural products that you can kind of not have to do so much? So to people who are like, well, I just can't. I'm a firefighter. I broke my arm. I got limited range of motion. I can't get up there. What can we say to those people who have that as an issue?
I
Is
feel
there a
sorry.
way?
I feel sorry for him.
Don't.
See, you have to understand. Don't nobody, no other sick race of people have this dumb conversation. What am I gonna do with myself if I got things to do? I can't do me. I can't do my hair. I can't. I don't even want to touch it. I just you do it. You do it. You do it. And see, when Massa was grabbing your shit and telling you to get rid of it and cut it, that's when then you got mad. Then you said, well, you know, I should be able to wear what I want to wear. But I mean, at the end of the day, you get with me, or you get with Ladosha, you get with all these other ladies that's and men on the chat, and and we trying to help you. You want to take the least path to resist, you know. I don't want to do it. Just do something with my hair, and then if it don't grow, well, what's wrong with it? You know, I mean, it's like that's one of the reasons why this podcast exists. The dumbest shit that black people say about their own hair, not other people, and that's one of the reasons why this is very dear to my heart because I need to change the relationship that you have with your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you teach it, it was taught to you. You didn't pour a little hair and you was innocent until you got taught, okay, here's your mom, your aunt. Boy, I got to do this. It was always a sense of, aggravation or confusion. And we got to just really get those things together, which causes our misunderstanding, which causes us to get into situations like eczema, psoriasis, or dermatitis, and things of that nature. And then we start getting into misunderstandings, and then we get a license, and then we misdiagnose and misprognose and start using all kind of product. And then we're the fat of the lamb for consumer brands and manufacturers, and we don't know. Here we are again,
We're back at one with the problems. We want you all to understand, and this is why we talked about, we kind of toyed with either talking about the Queen of England, or the queens in Africa. And now you guys see why this is really important that we highlight us and we talk about us. Your hair is your crown and glory. There's no way, there's no such thing as carefree hair. It's a carefree curl, but there's no carefree hair. And we have got to do this, set the example for our children. That's why we do all types of workshops and everything to help parents understand that it's no way around it.
There's no help. There's no carefree hands. There's no carefree toes. There's no hair carefree fat. There's no carefree lips. There's nothing on your body that's carefree.
Nothing.
Your health is important.
Yeah.
And your beauty is especially important, especially of a woman of African descent. That's why that's why my favorite line in the Bible is the Queen of Sheba. She said to all children of Israel, I am black. She made sure that she told them, I am black and beautiful. I'm so dark, I'm darker than your curtains of Qadir. She wanted them to know that because it's important. And I'm taking care of myself. Oh, I ain't got time to do my hair. No, they ain't never, when your great grandmothers ain't never went out to the grocery store to even get salami without having them stockings on them coats. They was looking nice. We have to do it too. And I think that's one of the things that the comedian Monique was saying. Come on now, the bonnet at work. And we got to get it together. We really do.
We have to do this, guys, and we are here to help you. I put up Miss Sophia's the first, and she says history is always subject to the narrator, and that's why we have this documentary, the narrative coming out, and I came up, with the perfect, what's the description? What am I doing here? I'm confronting the miseducation and the misrepresentation of Afro mother texture hair. And Dr. Willie Morrow is the center. He is in the nucleus. He is in the core of the whole spinning of this understanding so that we can bring about a resolve, because there are solutions. And also, again, we want to inspire. We want other, future cosmetologists, barbers, scientists, mental health specialists, everybody to use this hair to do so much more and to take everybody who has this beautiful texture of hair to new heights. But we can't do it. And I was listening to Roland Martin, which, by the way, if you're not watching Roland Martin, you need to go and listen to Roland Martin. And he said that African Americans are the taste masters. We create the palette for just
Absolutely.
about every single thing. And Cheryl talked about this. But we're more than just the taste masters, guys. We're not just here to come on, let's just dance again. We have so much more to offer. And the best way that you can begin to implore and explore how you can, offer up or discover whatever, you got to start with yourself. And you could do all the makeup, all the clothes, all the weight loss, but if you don't address this hair, it's not going to happen. The hair speaks before you even open your mouth. Not your boobs, not your teeth, not your eyes, not your hips, not your implant. I'm telling y'all, not your fancy vocabulary. Your title won't help you. It will not help you. None of this is going to help you. You can, I'm a motivational speaker. Your hair says, no, you're not. Your hair says you're either trying or you're doing. Okay? We've got to do this, guys, and we
Absolutely.
are here to help. So you understand what dandruff is. As we wrap this up, what about some of these solutions that we see out here? We have ketoconazole. We have dandruff shampoos such as what is this stuff here? Pyrethicone. And then another thing that's really popular that I'm seeing for dandruff is rice water, vinegar water, and tar. Tar came out after the zinc and the pyrethicone. I think Neutrogena was rocking the tar. But now what we're seeing for dandruff are rice water. Buildup and dandruff or scalp issues are rice water. What did I say? Rice water, yeah, vinegar. It's also very popular, and then your tea tree. So, what do you think about these to help with scalp, build up or issues? Rice water, and if you guys have used this, let us know. Rice water, vinegar, tea tree, or your essential oils with scalp conditions, or just dandruff shampoos.
Well, let me say this. I am a diagnoser. I like to give prognosis according to my expertise. And at that point, doing it that way, I know that all scalp skin is not dandruff. It's not the same. Okay? So I'm not going to just, you have to remember, most of those particular products that you mentioned are not for afro thick curly kind of scalps. Okay, so those are for straight textures, which is different. They use different products, so their issues are different. If you notice also, as a cosmetologist, the skin of either it's a contact dermatitis like eczema or psoriasis when it comes to Europeans, but it's very white and translucent. Black peoples can get very brown and dark in a different type of color. We got something else going on. But anyway, but I will say that there are some new technologies that we're dealing with to give cosmetologists more options, like ginger, um, Pine cone is better than tar. It's an organic matter. Um, the sap from pine cones are better, and most tree saps that can be integrated into the formulation become really good um, ingredient alternatives. And so we are basically, and that's one of my favorite skill sets is coming up with technology for hairstylists like Ladosha, you know, and yourselves, whoever's watching this. But I don't. It's not just a one hitter quitter, because one
Okay.
work for one person, it won't work for another person, because you're not washing. And two, I don't just wash away the debris just for the sake so you can, have your ego together. I think that if you're in recovery and whatever your scalp issues are, I'm not going to remove the skin just because so you can feel better about yourself. We need to get our scalp out of this issue. And however, what we need to do, we need to just wear a cap or whatever the case may be. I don't care what you do, but I'm not going to sit there and for an hour and scrub. I'm not going to do that
Oh, well, we
because
know that it's
because
dangerous too.
it's just not healthy,
Okay. Well,
because
guys,
it's there for a reason.
we have to stop scrubbing. Now, I'm going to go on record here as a licensed cosmetologist representing the Reverend Society Hair Salon. We're going to be having a team meeting to address scalp healing and understand that the scalp is part of the immune system, guys. And so, just as we would not scrub our face, we would not scrub our eye like that or our nose like that. And we know that happens because when we have a cold and we keep using that tissue, then our nose gets really tender and sore. So we have to understand that we are causing, we would be part of the problem and not the solution. And so at the end of the day, when it comes to all of the various, modalities of addressing your scalp issues, you have so many. So what she's saying is that in the end, guys, do not cookie cut this situation, because no two heads of hair are alike, and all scalp conditions are definitely per the person who's having them. But we must point out that African Americans that are having scalp issues are going to be completely different from our sisters from another mister with their scalp condition. So we have to be that persnickety. But we are here as your licensed professionals to help you out. And Cheryl just going to help get the whole world together. I'm going to put all the weight on her, okay? So we are going to wrap this baby up. Next week, we're going to come back with the slap. That's right. Jada Pinkett's alopecia. I'm going to give her own alopecia. She got alopecia like I've never seen before. So we are going to talk about alopecia because scalp care is very, very important. So, I believe the alopecia is going to definitely get some people in because we have so many different types of alopecia. When I create my little commercial for the podcast, I'm going to try to give examples of all the different kinds of alopecia, and then Cheryl's going to go through and let us know what we can do to prevent if we can, alopecia, also to just explain alopecia a little bit more, and because now we understand that we've got to do the business of being involved with our hair. And there are a lot of cosmetologists who say this all the time: have a love affair with your hair. Don't divorce your hair, is what we've learned today. Don't divorce yourself from your hair. Cheryl, what are you going to say to us as we wrap this up about dandruff and scalp care and self-care?
Have you guys ever seen a cut scalp?
I've never.
A cut scalp is the hardest in all of the body. It is the hardest place to stop the bleeding, because the head, when you cut into it or cut it, I don't care if you braise it, or a barber would know, anything above that, because it has so many nerves and small capillaries, because it bleeds from both ends. See, when you cut something, sometimes it depends, but when you cut the scalp, it's gonna bleed from the north end and the south end, or the east end and the west end. And I said that to say that the scalp is so vital. and any indication of your health, your hormonal health, and just your overall immune system, your autoimmune responses, your immune defense. And so we must really examine the scalp as a major organ, major organ. And we understand it like that, then we can understand its hair losses and its conditions and its disorders. Conditions are different than disorders, but we can get into that next week.
Okay, there you have it, guys. Scalp care is priority one. You hear this all the time. My play son Kareem says, hair is the flower of the scalp. And you cannot have a beautiful flower if you're not taking care of the scalp. Excessive tugging, pulling, heavily soiled hair, normalizing it. This is not a black thing. It's not cultural. It's not acceptable. Don't make that the norm for your hair. Instead, take the time, make the time to have a love affair with your hair. Okay, guys? We will be back next week, and we're going to be talking about alopecia and the slap. I'm going to start off with some messy stuff about that slap, of course, because y'all know Keela always got to just have a little messy boots up in here. But in the meantime, I'm going to be in Atlanta, Georgia this weekend. I'm going all up around ATL. I'm going into Bankhead. I'm going into College Park. I'm going into Stone Mountain. I'm going on what's that, Chandler Road. I'm going all over Atlanta to promote the narrative. I'll be walking into places asking people to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So you guys are going to have some new cousins pop up next week, hopefully. I'm also going to be I'm being hosted by Fresh from Earth. I'm going to be traveling even here in Cleveland, but I'm going to start off in Atlanta. Afro Trivia. Coming out of Dr. Morrow's book, 400 Years Without a Comb. So the book is going with me, okay? The book is going to come with me, and we're going to just see how much do you know about Afro hair. And we've got some wonderful giveaways, compliments of Rev Air, who's also supporting the documentary. We have some Smarties, and then also Fresh from Earth, that's located on Butner Drive in Atlanta, Georgia, is going to be hosting this event Sunday at 2:30. We're going to have a wonderful time, so please spread the word. Ladosha is we are in the editing process of the documentary, and so now I got to get out, and I'm going to be going live even more. Y'all think I'm crazy now? Y'all ain't seen nothing till y'all see me go around the world with this Afro Trivia. And don't be trying to take our game. Sure, you know it's going to be a game, don't you? Then you know how they have Black Card Revolt, get your Afro picks. You know what I'm saying? So stay tuned, watch out, and follow me around, and we're going to have a wonderful time. So Atlanta, I'm coming to you this weekend. All right, you know what we say, we're always signing out, right? A whole lot of peace, most certainly a whole lot of love, and for sure we're talking about a whole lot of hair. Put your crown on, guys and girls, put your crown on, and check this out. If you ain't got no hair, don't want no hair, can't stand hair, you know what I'm saying? Heck, you can't even grow it, you got some bald patches, you plan on cutting it off. Cheryl and I, we say don't worry about it, because bald patches, you know, because people just have them for whatever reason, we don't know. Bald heads, all of that is beautiful too. Don't forget to go check out Woman King. Viola Davis is representing, baby. I'm about to go read up on Queen Sheba. I don't know about you. I'm going to put that quote up on my chat, all right? Okay, guys. Deuces. I'll see you guys in Atlanta. We're going live from Atlanta, sure. That's where we'll be at next Monday in Atlanta.
Okay. I'm
Hot
there.
Atlanta. Here we come. It's going down. Deuces.